On this episode of AV Week, we look ahead to 2018. Our group of panelists talk about the biggest stories, the biggest technologies, and the biggest impact in the coming year. All that and more. Next on AV Week.
The network for the AV industry.
What are you listening to?
This
is AV.
This
is AVNation.
This is AVNation.
This is AV Week, episode 332, recorded Thursday, December 21st, 2017. 2018, here we go.
Support for AVNation is brought to you by Extron Electronics and by Peerless AV, the official outdoor display provider of Daytona International Speedway.
This is AV Week, your weekly wrap-up of audiovisual news and information. My name is Tim Albright. I am your host. This is part 2 of our year-in review, year-in preview. We had Megan Dutta from SCN, Corey Schaefer from QSC, Bradford Ben, who is technically a free agent right now, but is definitely looking and talking with a number of folks, Chris Neto from Barco, and Matt Scott from Omega Audio Video. First part, we talked about what were the biggest stories of 2017. Now we're going to start with Megan and ask what the biggest stories of 2018 will be. Starting off the part of the conversation here about what's going to happen next year. Miss Megan Dutta, what is one or two stories that's going to hit in 2018?
We've talked about this a lot already, but I think it's really the user experience. You know, we talked about the mergers and acquisitions and how things are becoming commoditized. I think that's really a big part of the user experience. Before, Times Square was such a unique experience, right? You go there and you see all the signage. You look now, and even just going into a retail store, it's everywhere. Wherever you go, you see signage, and it's going to be really about the whole experience and how are you capturing that person's attention. It can't just be with your product. It has to be the full experience, something that's going to actually get them to pay attention.
So let me ask you this. Are we back to experiences?
Yeah.
No, seriously, because that's exactly, and this is back talking about, you know, making sure that the experience of our customers and our listeners' customers, but also their clients as well, is something to be remembered. So, all right, Ms. Schaefer, what is one or two stories that's going to hit in 2018? And I understand you work for a manufacturer, and I understand you have a trade show coming up, and I understand there are things you can't say. So,
right. So
all of that preamble.
Okay, so I have a couple of things I think are going to happen, and one definitely is related to the company I work for, which is QSC. And I have to tell you, I love and admire this company so much. So in 2018, we will be celebrating our 50th year in business. So founded in 1968. However, when you look at what we will introduce at ISE in 2018, it's just this is a well-established company that is just constantly reinventing itself. And the QSys platform was always designed to be audio, video, and control. And as it relates to the user experience, we're like on it. So you will see so much at ISE related to that user interface side of it and how do you improve that. And so it'll be more related to the control side is what I'll say. And wow. I think people will view QSC unlike they ever have before, because although we've been in business 50 years, obviously comes this legacy of being an audio company, you know, et cetera. So 2018 will be a turning point for how the company's perceived. Also want to mention a company that, you know, I see it being used a lot in our industry, but yet so much of what they're doing is under the radar. It's Zoom. We're using it today. And Zoom is, I'm bumping them everywhere at the end user level. They talk about an experience. It's incredibly easy. They do room scheduling. They do digital signage. And they introduced in the fall augmented reality. And not augmented reality as, gee, it's never coming, and how do we really apply that to the meeting room space? But they're making it easy, and it's just part of the subscription model. And the augmented reality that they're bringing forth, honestly, is amazing. And I really think it will help our industry. So it's really not fluby dust out there. We will see it applied. And they may be the guys that really, the company that really brings that forth in our industry in 2018.
No, I would agree with you until they get acquired.
Well, and that's totally what they're going for. I mean, and when you look at what they're doing and what their CEO has done in the past. That's definitely been the track record, right?
Yeah, the question is now is whether it's Amazon or Google. So
yeah.
Corey, wait, can I just want to hit on something that Corey said. I wrote an article about 2018 trends, and I talked to Martin from QSC.
Yeah.
And one of the points he brought up that I love is with what you're doing with this open source is, embracing a common programming language. We're going to be able to attract more tech talent from outside the industry, and, make things more scalable, which I think is a really cool point.
It's a huge point.
And to that point, the simplification of it. So without, taking a ton away from the trade show, but the way the coding will be done, there are lots of youngins that are doing this type of coding. So that is really simplifying this process, and overall, just really improving the experience to the end user.
Yeah, absolutely. And as somebody who still considers himself a former programmer, I am incredibly excited about any sort of open source and using actual computer programming languages other than proprietary stuff. So, all right, Mr. Bradford Ben, what is your biggest story of 2018?
Now, it sounds funny. I'm not going to say me, but I will be revealing where I'm going probably within the month.
Okay. Month of January.
Yes. I will say, however, to me, the biggest thing for 2018 is actually something that Corey kind of talked about a little bit. I think we're going to see the dust settle on some of these digital network transports, because you have AES-67, you have Dante, you have, other proprietary ones like QLAN and BlueLink and XDAB, and you have AVB, which BiAmp is using. There's also all the video streaming versions of proprietary, not proprietary, SDVOE versus HD-based T, both of which are underwriters, and I've probably mentioned a couple underwriters. But I think this is going to start coalescing together a whole lot more of people, especially our customers. While all of the manufacturers want to sell a system, we want to sell every single part. It's what we do. We're coin operated. Having the ability to be interactive and easy to talk between parties will help. It's the whole reason. And, there are projects I've worked on with Corey when she's been at QSC and I've been at Harman, where we're using digital audio transports between them, whether it be AES-67 or Dante or AVB. And that's been the thing, is making that process easier, because it was a little bit of black magic getting all the configuration done. I think the marketplace of the integrators and the end users are going to decide, we want a simplified interface and ability to put all these networks together. And there are limitations to all of these and all of that, but I think this is going to be the big battle in 2018, is the infrastructure battles, especially as we move to a more IT-based system. It's going to impact what the IV, not the AV-IT guys, like the IT guys that are talking about, operational security and denial of service and the stuff I worry about. Having a standard that works over the network is going to be big. Having one that everyone agrees on is going to be even bigger. And I think that's going to be the big story in 2018.
Yeah, I don't agree. All right, Mr. Matt D. Scott, what is your one or two stories of the year?
Bradford Ben.
Bradford Ben.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Totally Bradford Ben. No, the one I'm getting most excited to watch, honestly, is voice control, and how voice control gets into boardrooms and conference spaces and any other situation. I don't know if it's going to be the biggest story of the year. I don't think it will be, but I think it's going to be one of the most interesting stories of the year.
I have a problem with that.
I know you will.
Because that's crazy talk. That is crazy talk, Matt Scott. It's never going to happen in the commercial space.
I know, but you know what I get asked for all the time?
Absolutely. Hang on. I got to jump in on this one. Mr. Neto, I will lay $100 on the table right now and tell you will run into it by the end of 2018.
Oh, yeah.
Let's be a little careful.
Because I know it's coming.
All right.
It's already happening, though. Yeah. We just did a story for January on voice control with, using Alexa to control hotel rooms, boardrooms. It's happening. It's here. It's just not widespread yet.
Now, I will say, I wonder, in the corporate environment, is Alexa...
And define corporate, Mr. Ben.
Yes.
Okay, in someone who sits in an office with a door closed, working in their computer, counting dollars, designing new products, a non-collaborative single user that gets paid to do something. Having a voice assistant, whether it be Bixby, IBM Watson, Alexa, Google, take your pick, that's going to be a better...
Perform Google searches.
Right, that's going to be more useful, whereas controlling it in the boardroom will have this exact problem of if you have 4 people in the boardroom or 6 people, who controls the voice? And anyone can say that. So to me, that's why it's going to be more of a office-based solution. Like you said, hotel rooms.
Yeah.
Places that are confined to one user at a time, a house, a hotel room, you know, an office, maybe a collaboration space, because it's more of a turn on lights, you know, Google order me a sandwich, stuff like that. I'm trying to get Chris's to do something.
He unplugged it.
I think that's where I don't think it'll be in a boardroom. I don't think it'll be 20 people sitting around a meeting room, because who does it listen to?
I get what you're saying, Bradford. Where I find it intriguing is you look at the people who a lot of times are starting to spec so many of these spaces. They are the IT guys. They are the nerds.
Yes.
On site who see it and go, oh, this is really cool. Let's play with this. We could do this. We could, oh my God, I could do this. They get all excited over it. And those are the people that are coming to at least to us and saying, hey, how can we use a Alexa to turn on the projector and drop the screen? Because
the answer
they can't figure out how to use the touch panel anyways.
No, I fully understand that point. And I understand why people would want it, because we're AV nerds and we like gadgets.
Yeah.
However,
that's not what he's saying, though. He's saying the IT nerds are going to come. Okay.
It's a whole different breed.
Okay. Let's just say technological gadget lovers.
Okay.
Thank you.
The thing is let's rewind a little bit to the large matrix DSPs and the large switches, and everyone goes, just put everything to go everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
And it seemed like a great idea, except then they realized what happened in reality when you started deploying it. Or let's not put locks on the doors and anyone can do everything on the network. I think it's a great idea that people are going to want to do. And then once they deploy it, they're going to go, oh, that doesn't work well, because exactly what I did to Chris's of the, 6 people in the room talking about something, and Alexa, Google, Watson, Bixby, whoever takes over.
I know somebody who got, 6 packets of toilet paper delivered to their house when they stepped away from their Alexa.
Yeah.
2 seconds on
And now there are solutions, technological solutions from various people, because you can put vocabularies on the devices. I'm not going to talk about every possible thing and all the nerd talk in the background about knowledge domains, etc. But putting in a limited voice system, almost like Siri, where you have to press the button, I could see that. Or putting in just certain commands like turn on projector, close blinds, do this, do that. Not the Google, order me 50 rolls of toilet paper. Acknowledged.
Yeah, and it may get to that eventually, Bradford. But in the meantime, there will be this wild west of voice control as we kind of figure this out, and also figure out the security part too. All right, Mr. Neto, you'll have the last word on this one. What does the 2018 hold for us?
Oh, wow. 2 things. Well, now, first, a quick comment on what Matt said. Matt, that was an inside joke regarding a conversation about voice control about 3 years ago at a place called the CI Summit, where we were told you're nuts.
Well, also, if we rewind a little bit, we can go to one of the best episodes ever of AVNation, just on the title alone, Slap Fight, because it was about gesture control.
Yeah.
And I think that we had the exact same discussion, though, talking about gestures. It's kind of like who holds the remote for the display, or, however, I don't want to say TV because they're not TVs anymore. Who holds the content selector in the house? That's the same game, in my opinion.
I agree. So my two big things for 2018 are the rise of two things, and they're not product related. I think we will see the rise of the boutique shop, specialized tactical installers, and people that are focused on one thing. Exactly. A couple hand models showing off, nice. That's, it's not that type of boutique shop, you guys.
Are you talking about like currently the way AVISPL has catalogs that you can order a boardroom out of pre-assembled? That specialized of an we do this.
I'm going to talk about maybe, if a company wanted to specialize in a detail within an amusement park, somebody like yourself and your company can be called on. What I'm getting at is that, there are a lot of companies doing a lot of things. The question is, once you start getting that big, are you really doing them that well? Or is your customer service still there? So I think that's going to be brought in question because everybody wants to do everything. Okay. Integrators are integrators, but I think that there's going to be a rise in the small shop, the specialized, SEAL Team 6 style integrator that's going to be good at one thing. And one thing is what gets them the same job over and over repeatedly, and they learn to turn that into a profit for what they do. The other thing I think is that another thing that is going to be on the rise is that we're going to see the content creators have a voice in the technology.
Yep.
For a very long time, consultants were the ones that were specifying the technology in consultation with the content creator. Content creators now are savvy.
And I will say that is the theme park model.
Well, and you look at guys like OpenOnGlobal and our buddy Brian Mazzaros, that's exactly them, right? They've now done 3 or 4 installations at Madame Tussauds Wax Museum, and they are not just AV installations; they're experience installations.
Yeah, and it's also their vision. So if you sit down and talk to these content creators, they're going to tell you how they create the graphic or have the vision of how the things are going to be made. In the theme park world, an engineer or a designer can design based on what the content creators or the dreamers are dreaming, right? And they try to do that, but those guys are always going to step in and say, no, it's not this big. It has to be bigger. You have to be immersive. It's getting to the point where content creators are stepping into the technology space and saying color and contrast mean something in projection, seamless video, with, if we're transporting the video via IP, it's got to go smooth. It's got to be done a certain way. And their visions for many instances, only in select markets or specialties have been realized. We're now starting to see content creators stepping up on different fronts in the corporate environments now, which, they just created a PowerPoint presentation that ran on digital signage. One of the biggest things for me going into 2018 with the launch of Unicy is lobby walls. I think that when Unicy was originally developed, it was more for the NOC and the control and command center, which is what Barco has a market in. But looking at this video wall and the people that have seen it, lobby walls are by far one of the most talked about and attention-getting technologies that we have. Where before it was like you had a desk, you had a nice, maybe a waterfall in your lobby. Now people want to see technology there from the minute you walk into space. Yeah. So yes, technology in the lobby wall space is definitely growing, but honestly, the small tactical integrator and the content creators, I think 2018 is going to be their big year. We've done a lot of mergers and acquisitions, so maybe they're going to be targets for some of these big integrators as well.
All right. This I will wrap up as I have the last 6 years. Not by predicting that Cisco is going to buy a control company, and that has been my prediction for 6 years. I'm
How's
going
that
to
worked
alter
out?
it slightly because I've been wrong for 6 years.
I would say Cisco is a control company.
That is exactly where I'm going. Cisco now, and with the advent of stuff like Corey talked about with QSC and putting that on the network, our buddies who was an underwriter of ours, Utelegy, putting that stuff on the network and using the IT infrastructure and the available APIs that most manufacturers are putting out there. Cisco is a control company. They just have to connect the dots, and so they have become a control company without purchasing one. What my prediction is going to be is that is going to become more and more prevalent. And Corey talked about QSC getting more and more into control. Barco is getting more and more into control with Overture. I mean, there are so many companies out there that are doing control that are not the traditional control company. And understand, all of us have been around the industry for a long time. There were control companies, right? This is what they did. This is what they did. They made boxes that allowed you to integrate several disparate products into one and control them in one interface. Those companies have expanded and they do other things now. At the same time, these other companies that did what they did have expanded, and now they have control. Biamp has control. I mean, I could go on and on. I could almost list you the companies that don't have control. It would be a shorter list. So I think that part of the industry is going to explode and expand. I think standardization and using actual IP and IT standards is going to be huge in that, and look to see other companies get more and more into control and controlling not just their devices, but other ones as well. So. All right, that'll do it for us. Thank you guys so much for joining us. Mr. Bradford Ben, I will give you the top spot in here. I think you deserve it. How do people find you if they would like to at this stage of the game?
At this stage of the game, being that I have nothing on my calendar until January 2nd at the moment when I talk with a real estate agent, I would say you can either go to bradfordben.com. You can follow me on Twitter instead of following Tim at bradfordben. Also, I am at the AVNation.tv website doing a whole bunch of updates. And as I joked with some of the people at the office today while I was leaving, if you Google Bradford Ben and you can't find me or use your first favorite search engine, I don't want to be your friend.
Who is winning for AV Person of the Year? Is it you?
I will say that it is more interesting than I thought. I also will say, and I know I'm a little disappointed in our listenership. I know you shouldn't talk bad about your audience. There's 25 votes, but not a whole bunch from multiple people. Some companies are stuffing the ballot boxes.
I'm gonna vote again today.
Okay.
And did you see my vote? Can that person win?
Yes, I can.
Yeah. She didn't vote for you.
I know.
All right, Ms. Corey Schaefer, thank you so much. How do people find you?
You can find me on LinkedIn, Twitter, or at QSC. So it's Corey, Cory, .Schaefer, SCHAEFFER at QSC.com.
Ms. Megan Dutta, thank you so much, ma'am. I always appreciate your time.
Thanks for having me.
Absolutely.
So you can find me on the Twitter at SCN Magazine, or my personal Twitter is Megan A. Dutta, no H, because H's are ew.
Wow.
Sorry,
Yeah,
what?
but then you could be Meg Han.
H's are who?
H's are ill. Don't you watch Jimmy Fallon?
Ew.
No.
Oh my
You think I
gosh.
have enough time to watch TV?
You do now.
I got you, Megan.
All right,
it's
Mr. Matt
the
D.
age thing.
Yeah. Mr. Matt D. Scott,
Ew.
host of our Resi show, and God love him, he just did his first ever end of the year this episode on Resi Week. He also did his first ever best of.
It was fun.
It was 5 minutes, but
The best of. Thanks.
Well, we had to edit out all the time of you talking about how great you are now that you're a CD Elect board member.
true. Yeah.
Of course. Yeah.
Now,
Because
because-
I'm.
What does CDS stand for again?
Yeah, Bradford.
I would have to ask the board member because that was my exact point.
All right, Matt, how do people find you, sir?
You can find me on Twitter at Matt D. Scott and every other social platform as I go into my spiel from Resi Week. Pretty much just like Bradford say, Google me. I'm really easy to find. And I don't have an H in my name because, well, H's are ew. See, I know. I got it.
Well,
He's got it.
Yeah, I got it.
all right, Neto, save me from these two.
I do have
We're going to start saying my stepdad, Tim.
Now, just so you know,
My God.
Christopher has 2 H's. So no one be making fun of Christopher.
I'm doubly,
Ew.
How do people find you, Chris?
and that is Chris
Or Barco?
Chris with an H is my no, it's not. At Chris Neto on the Twitters. Barco is at Barco. You can find them there as well on the Twitters. I would like to wish everybody a happy and joyous holiday season, Tim included. Because
Wait up. My prediction for 2017 is Tim will once again injure himself while on vacation and break his other foot.
It has
It's
to be the other
2018. 2018.
20. Yeah, that's right. Tim is due for his winter extravaganza. This
Yeah,
is
don't remind my wife of that.
does
She's
the
already
snowbird thing, and he
she's already
disappears
threatened.
like a week, and
Yeah.
this is great.
If you missed our coverage of ISE last year, during my winter break, I broke my right foot and spent. I covered ISE with a boot on it.
as Matt would say, tell us about it.
It's a boot. So
Yeah, tell us about it.
a boot. All right. Thank you all so much. My name is Tim Albright. Don't follow me, as they have all made fun of me because I've been saying that for 6 years. But go by the website if you would, please. AVNation.tv. AVNation.tv. You will find this program and a host of others. While you're there, please check out our underwriters. They help us financially. They support us and allow us to do shows like this and go to ISE. And I get to hang out with Megan and Matt in Amsterdam as we all traverse the great Atlantic to go to cover Integrated Systems Europe. Also, while you're there, Megan mentioned and Bradford mentioned the AVNation Awards. The nomination process is coming to a close, and we will shortly reveal the top spots for all of our categories. And so the month of January will be actually the voting. So we'll be bugging you about voting now. So check that out as well. All kinds of specials coming up. Bradford mentioned our interview with Mohit Parashar from Harman Pro. We've got one on networked audio, and we also have some previews for ISE. All of that and more at the Bradford been designed and maintained website, avnation.tv, avnation.tv. Thank you so much for listening this year, and thank you so much for listening next year. That's all the time we have for AV Week.